Welcome, everyone, to the Up on the Soapbox podcast. This is episode 34, and boy, oh boy, is today's guest a great one. But we're going to talk about him in a second. I want to introduce myself. My name is Brett Schaefer. I'm one of your co-hosts. With me is my co-host and partner in crime, Dan Piggott. Dan, what's going on in your world? I'm not eliminating this from the podcast.
I wish you would.
I know.
This weekend I have an answer. We did have guests this weekend to our home, and so that's what I can say. Something actually happened, and we had some people here. We had a nice little cookout. My son came up with his girlfriend. We had a nice weekend, and here we are Monday, turning the corner, ready to approach a new week. So we had a good one. But Brett, more importantly, how was your trip to Boone, North Carolina? That's what
Boone is a beautiful place, especially this time of year. It was fantastic. I was celebrating my 25th wedding anniversary with my bride, so it was a special occasion. We had a fantastic weekend. I appreciate you asking. Hopefully, we'll make it to 26 if she'll keep me. So that's not on me. But anyway, enough about us, Dan. I don't know why you're wasting so much time talking about us. Let's get on to our guest.
You start with the small talk. What am I supposed to do?
You should turn the finger and point it towards you. Anyway, with us today, a good friend of ours, somebody who we almost have daily communication with. I'll go out on a limb and I'll just say that. So a good friend of ours, somebody I've known for many years. I respect this guy a lot. He is the founder of Social Good Promotions. He's a co-founder of PromoCares, who've been doing some incredible work and really finding their stride in this business. He is 50% of the Parktopia leadership team. Did I say Parktopia right? I think it is, right? Music lover, Soapbox user extraordinaire. Holy crap, do we have a list of things that you do? Roger Burnett, welcome to Up on the Soapbox. Thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, I was trying to think who my favorite number 34 was. Stumper. Gotta think about that. Okay, sorry about that.
You got to give me a minute on that one.
Right?
There's a lot of 34s in hockey. Typically, they're in goal. So you got to think about that.
Running backs, usually.
Running backs. All right, good.
Was Earl Campbell 34?
See, we're sending people scrambling to their Googlers.
Yeah. No, I'm clean. I'm clean. I just, I'm trying to come up with a 34 for you. Oh.
Roger, for those who don't know you, why don't you just spend a minute talking about what brings you to us today? You've had quite a storied career in the promo world. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Gosh, well, I've been around a bit. I've been at distributors, large and small. I've worked for suppliers in the space. I really kind of wandered the industry as a vagabond, trying to find my home as to what mark could I make with this amazing medium that we call branded merchandise. And so relationship that I had with our good friend Danny Rosen led to a discussion that we wanted to figure out if there was a way to elevate the perception of branded merchandise against the other marketing media that people spend money on, which spawned the PromoCares movement, which has just gone on to do some amazing stuff. So I've founded Social Good Promotions in 2019, largely as a result of the research that we did in the PromoCares Genesis back in 2018, which led to a book. Yeah, whole bunch of stuff. So I've been woven pretty heavily into the fabric of trying to have people see what our marketing medium does when it's done really well and not when it goes straight in the garbage.
Well, it's interesting because in that lengthy intro, you left out, I think, I didn't hear the podcaster extraordinaire, author,
I left that
right?
out.
So yeah, there's even more to him. Even more.
Shame on me.
For those that it's a new subject, just tee it up for everybody. Talk about purpose-driven marketing, why it's important nowadays, how long this trend has been developing. Help us understand it better.
It appears from what you can glean from what the news media will tell you, regardless really of where you get your information from, to say that regardless of whom it is that your product serves, if you don't let the people who would buy what you sell see what it is you're about as an organization, if there's somebody else that competes against you who does a better job of that than you will lose to them. And more in the marketplace today, consumerism and their behavior drives the desire to want to know that information, to the point where winners and losers are starting to be drawn in the marketplace based on this decision by itself. And it's imperative that organizations start to be able to express what it is that they've been reluctant to share, or worse yet, be afraid of what the consequence would be of sharing it, because until they get into the practice of doing that, they're going to keep losing to people who are beating them in that phase of what's going on. And it's pretty apparent if you're studying the marketplace for clues about that.
Is it a generational thing? Do you think this is what the Gen Xers and the Gen Zers are all about, the millennials even, or is it not so much related to that? I feel it is. I feel like, looking at my own children and how they're growing up and what's of interest to them, just wondering if you see it as generational at all.
I think the simple fact that we asked that question makes it generational, because we're all of the generation who would ask the question, is that generational? And the answer is, of course it is. But when you read the statistics from survey data, purpose is the one characteristic that seems to be pervasive, regardless of whether you're 20 or 80. It just so happens that it appears to be growing in its social acceptance, to the point where people are striving to be more that way. So you could cast a cynical eye at that and say that, it's just societal pressure driving behavior, or you can say like, well, maybe it is making the world a better place in the process. And only the marketplace is going to tell us in the future whether or not it actually works or not.
Well, you've seen this develop right before your very eyes. I mean, frankly, I'll pat you on the back here. I think you were a little bit ahead of this curve. You founded your company based on that principle, and you're sticking to it, and that's not easy to do. You're sticking to it, and I know, and I hope you don't mind me sharing. I know, it didn't start off as great or as quickly as you had hoped, but it's certainly the fuse is lit, and it's really starting to build pretty quickly. So kudos to sticking to your guns, man. I mean, that's really hard to do, but I think that's pretty fair. So you're seeing this build from year to year at this point. More of a question.
And and really what I think is, there's enough cynicism built into the average consumer for them to be willing to wait to see just how true you are to what it is you're saying. And the expectation is you're going to trip up eventually to the point where I can go, see, that's why I didn't do any business with you. But we started our business with a relational outcome in mind, not a transactional one. So we can focus on just doing what we believe is what is on brand for us, with hopes that the people who would ultimately want to support what we're doing would gravitate to that over time. And that's why I think we've been able to be successful, even in the midst of what has been just some bonkers set of constraints that we've had to deal with over the course of the last 2 selling seasons. It's just been unlike anything I've ever seen in my whole career.
When it comes to promo right now, are there holes in product offerings because you don't have suppliers in certain areas that have made this move? So is that, do you understand my question?
How I try to express our position as a distributor in what's going on right now is to say, I think we're fortunate in that we were forced, by virtue of what we wanted to build from a supply chain, to examine things that were adjacent to what most everybody else was doing. Because maybe what the traditional supply chain provided us wasn't getting us the pillars we were looking for the other filters that we use to construct who we represent. So that means a lot of times the supply chain is a lot closer to us. It's a lot more artisanal. It's a lot more curated, gives me the opportunity to maybe not have to worry that there's quite as rabid of demand for that same thing as the one that I'm showing.
Mm.
But on the other hand, I'm very direct with our clients to say, you should not waste time. If you see something and it even remotely seems like it's going to work, let's move forward. Because who knows what tomorrow will bring? Seriously.
And talk to us a little bit more in depth on PromoCares. I don't know that everyone in the industry is 100% familiar even with that organization. So give us a little thumbnail sketch about that organization, what its goals and are, and what else you can tell us about it.
Yeah, it's been a bit since it started back in 2018 now, which feels like 15 years ago by comparison. And our objective in the early stages of just even the creation of that movement was to try to help have people who buy what our industry sells see it for the best use, as opposed to it being an afterthought purchase that has a strong likelihood of ending up in the garbage. And we used our ability to tell stories about the factories and the distributors in our space that were doing just amazing things as the vehicle by which to highlight when it's done well. And those efforts over time created a tribe of people who shared that same thought process as, because as we found them and highlighted them, we welcomed them into our social media accounts so that they could realize that there was a community of like-minded people within the industry who shared their beliefs. And in the growth of that process, we were able to grow the awareness of the fact that each of us were out there to the point that really amazingly talented people who cared a lot about what we were trying to accomplish gravitated to our board. To the point where I look at the group that we have today of people that are helping us with the work that we do these days, and I'm just blown away. And what we've been able to accomplish from a fundraising perspective, in addition to all of the awareness work that we've been able to do about branded merchandise and what it looks like when it's done really well, but just the sheer amount of money that we've been able to raise for causes that the industry has identified as being important, it's reminded me just of how powerful a medium we really have when we do it the right way. It's been great.
Very good.
Any thoughts on a total dollar figure since you started in 2018?
Well, so we've only done 2 real major ones, and between them, they've raised 70 grand. And the first of which was our foray into, can we do this? And we had a $10,000 goal, which we outperformed by $5,000. So that gave us some confidence that we were able to do some things, and we were able to secure donations. We got a lot of participation from within the industry, from social media influencers who were excited to be a part of what we were doing. And then when the war in Ukraine happened, we were actually approached by members of our industry who said, you know, we really would like to see you all get involved, because we believe that there's pent-up demand for the kind of fundraising that you all are capable of if we could just get someone like your group to get involved and do this for us. And the fact that we were able to raise $55,000 in 2 weeks' time, it's changed what I feel like I need to go out and talk about from a distributor perspective.
How so?
Think about how powerful our medium is when it follows a really set strategy of replicatable success. We just have to prove to the world that we can do it for them. And what other good could we bring to light as a result? I'm getting ready at Social Good Promotions. We're getting ready to do a similar Ukraine for Good campaign in our local community with the for-profit businesses that we call on, asking them if they would like to participate with us in a t-shirt fundraiser, where the proceeds then are going to benefit corporate aid for Ukraine. So we're just taking the template and moving it down to the local level and replicating it to the benefit of our local community in a way that we're learning from the things that we're doing with PromoCares.
Fair enough. That's all. That's awesome. I mean, we're happy to participate on a small scale that we were able to do it. And we're just, listen, really impressed with that organization and the work they're doing and the direction they're taking everything and the awareness they're bringing to our industry. Proud of you guys, really. Very, very good stuff. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about vans.
Oh, so
Yeah.
shifting gears. I get you there, huh? That was
right.
good. That was good.
No, it wasn't.
No, it was terrible.
In any case, well, you had to bring it to the forefront, of course. But so Roger embarked on a what would you call it? A journey. He and his wife fixed up a van and went out on the road for how long were you out and about? Tell us about van life a little bit in your experience and what you learned from it.
Oh yeah. So what spawned this was a whitewater rafting expedition that our family took through the Grand Canyon in the middle of July of the pandemic year. And we got to see the vans that many of the guides had done for themselves, and they were touring the country, living out of their spaces. And I kid you not, we were flying home on the way home and my wife was on the internet shopping for one of these vans. And we'd always thought this would be something that we would do kind of like in retirement. We love national parks. We love traveling. I love to drive. I love seeing the countryside from a windshield. So knowing that we fully expected that probably would be something that we would do in that phase of our lives, just went for it. We decided, why not? Let's just jam it all together and turn it into a thing. So we took delivery of the van last October, and we've been on the road off and on since then, to the point where at last check, we were coming up on 30,000 miles traveled since we got her back since last October. So we've been out quite a bit, and we've seen a fair amount of these 50 states in the process, and it's been something. It's been the whole.
What do you like the most about the experience? And conversely, what have you learned that you didn't anticipate that isn't so great?
Yeah, it's a trade-off. I mean, you're giving up a lot to get what you get, which is you come around a bend in Utah and the entire rock goes from beautiful red to black because you've just passed one geological formation to the other. It's so palpable. And you got this beautiful 360-degree view because the cabin is so full of glass. You don't have the problem with a Class A RV, which is super big and difficult. This drives like a car. So all of that is fantastic, but it is still 60 square feet, my friend. And you have to maneuver. You have to, I mean, we went 16 consecutive days together in the van, and that's a feat.
Wow.
That's living, sleeping, that's everything.
Yeah. You can stop there, Brett, please. And so who have you met out there?
That's for the other podcast that we do.
That's right. Yeah. Soapbox After Dark. But anyway, who have you met out there? You meet any interesting characters driving around in a van? Got a story or two for us?
So there are other van lifers out there that invariably, if you decide on this as a thing, you have been following other people who do this before you make your decision. So it's always interesting to kind of get a sense of where folks are in their travels to see if there's a way, traveling Wilbury style, to bump into people and create something fun in content that maybe can go across multiple channels. And we've run across a couple of folk now where we're starting to interact with one another, and we come to find out we share a wedding anniversary. So that was pretty interesting. So that in and of itself is part of the journey of doing that whole thing, is finding out who it is that you're going to bump into. But conversely, I mean, sometimes, we went to the Devil's Rope Museum on Route 66. And for those of you who are into Route 66, I hope it's because you like the Cars movie or something else, because the reality of Route 66 in a lot of ways is not so much. The Devil's Rope Museum is nothing but 2 pineapple-sized pieces of barbed wire in a closed building in a town of a stated population of 826. Like, come on, guys. Seriously.
So
Right,
what I'm hearing, forget the Route 66 part, is that all of these little sub communities have their own celebrities. Is that it? Sum it up?
Well, and there's the van life subculture has created like new channel lanes for these places that otherwise would be relatively obscure, except for the constant van life traffic that keeps rolling through these places. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun to watch.
It's definitely a lifestyle choice.
Definitely.
All right, very good. So one last thing, let's talk about music. That's something that we bond on a lot. And got anything upcoming that worthy of note that we should know? Any live music experiences planned for the summer?
Yeah, man. So there's this festival in Louisville in September called Bourbon and Beyond.
That looks good.
And this lineup is crazy good.
It's banging, as the kids say.
And it's
Well, your kids don't say that, Dan?
I don't know.
Dan, it's literally every genre. Every day is covered. There's like, it's not a 5-day Americana folk festival. Right. It is not Lollapalooza. It's all of those things rolled up into one.
Cool.
With bands that bands that you're going to be surprised are on the bill, and then some you'd be like, well, then I got to see who these guys are.
So what's the commitment for you? 3 days, 4 days? What are we there for?
It's a 3-dayer.
3 days.
And then I think it's a 5-dayer because you're going to do a day down and a day back, right?
Okay.
So hey, Parktopia Van, follow us on Instagram, and maybe you can be part of the episode dedicated to Bourbon and Beyond come this September.
Fantastic. Roger Burnett, always a pleasure chatting with you, my friend. I could definitely do this again. And as Dan said, we're going to have a spin-off podcast coming up, so we'll have to get you back for that so you can finish that part of the story. Yeah. But nonetheless, thanks for being with us today. Thanks for all you do for the industry and beyond. We really appreciate it. Thanks for being a friend. And most importantly, thanks for being a great soapboxer. Have yourself a good one.
See you guys.